She doesn't need to scream or lie to control you. A single word is all it takes, and most men never see it coming. You think you're building something real. You think she's just busy, just unsure, just being honest. But behind these soft words lies a truth men are never taught to see. You're not being respected. You're being managed. And if you don't learn to hear the code in her language, you'll keep wasting your energy, your self-worth, your entire life chasing illusions. In this video, I'm going to expose 4 simple words women use that reveal everything. Words that seem harmless on the surface, but are the red flags hiding in plain sight. More importantly, I'll show you how to flip the game, walk with power, and rebuild your life, not just your relationships, from a foundation of respect, clarity, and control. If any part of you has ever felt disrespected, used, ignored, or strung along by someone you genuinely cared about, this message is your wake-up call. Comment, "I choose strength," if you're ready to watch this video till the end. Number 1, I'm busy. You've seen it before. You ask her to meet, and she hits you with, "I'm busy." Not once, not twice, over and over. You wait, hoping. You think if you just show more effort, she'll notice. But ask yourself, is she busy, or are you just not her priority? You've been conditioned to see effort as the answer to rejection. But the truth is, you're rewarding avoidance with attention. Every time you double text, every time you justify her silence to yourself, every time you settle for being rescheduled without explanation, you're telling her that your time, energy, and emotions are available on demand, even when hers are not. The reality is simple and brutal. If a person wants you in their life, they make space. If they don't, they make excuses. And "I'm busy" is the most polished excuse in the modern dating playbook. It's the language of deflection dressed up as ambition. But it's not her workload that's the issue. It's your willingness to tolerate disrespect disguised as independence. You sit there thinking she's just having a rough week, convincing yourself she'll come around, that maybe if you stay supportive, she'll finally see your value. But she won't, because you've already told her she doesn't have to. Your availability signals to her that you have nothing more important going on. And when a woman senses that you are orbiting her life with nothing orbiting your own, she puts you in her calendar not as a priority, but as an option, a convenience, a fallback. And that's exactly how she treats you, like a backup generator. You only get called when everything else fails. And while you're over there being understanding and patient, she's giving her time to men who don't wait, who don't explain, who don't beg for validation. You see, most men confuse patience with passivity. They think being calm means being quiet. They think being composed means staying available. But Stoic strength isn't passive. It's not about tolerating disrespect in the name of peace. It's about maintaining internal order by refusing to tolerate external chaos. And "I'm busy" is chaos in disguise. It's a soft rejection that becomes a loud disappointment. So how do you respond? You don't react. You redirect. When someone tells you they're too busy, you believe them the first time. Not as a punishment, not as a manipulation, but as a boundary. You shift your focus immediately, not to another woman, but to another level. You pull your energy back into your mission. You stop checking if she's online. You stop replaying your conversations. You stop creating mental stories around why she isn't calling. And you start pouring that energy into something that builds you, something that cannot leave you, ignore you, or ghost you. You journal your thoughts, not your texts to her. You train your body, not your hope. You discipline your focus, not your emotions. And in doing so, you shift the power dynamic, not because she changes, but because you do. And that change is permanent, because once you've felt what it's like to build something meaningful without begging for someone's time, you never go back to chasing again. And the irony, that's when they come back. When your time becomes expensive, people who once gave you excuses start giving you explanations. But by then, you won't need them, because you'll have built a life that doesn't pause for, "I'm busy." You'll look at that message and feel nothing, not anger, not hope, just clarity. Because a man on his path doesn't chase appointments, he creates momentum. And that momentum speaks louder than any "I'm busy" ever could. If you're ready to take that momentum and build something unshakable, the Stoic relationship blueprint was written for you. It's not just a book, it's a turning point. Packed with timeless Stoic principles crafted for modern relationships, this guide is designed to help you reclaim your clarity, your discipline, and your peace starting today. And now, for the first time ever, it's available in audiobook format, so you can absorb this life-changing wisdom while walking, training, or even during your daily commute. No more waiting, no more confusion. The link is in the comments. Every chapter, every strategy, every mindset shift. You'll have permanent access to it all, ready whenever you need to remind yourself who you are and how far you've come. The question is simple. How long will you keep tolerating less when the map to more is already in your hands? Number 2, maybe keeps you confused. Maybe is the softest way to keep you in chains. It gives you hope without a promise. It keeps you loyal to something that isn't loyal to you. When she says maybe, what she's really saying is, not now, not yet, but keep trying. I like the attention. Why does this work? Because most men are conditioned to chase clarity even when it's not available. You wait for confirmation. You hope for a yes. But you don't realize that by entertaining a maybe, you have already accepted a no, just delivered slower. It's not indecision, it's control. Maybe is a leash disguised as a lifeline. It gives her the safety of your energy without the cost of commitment. She doesn't have to decide. She doesn't have to act. All she has to do is leave the door open just wide enough for your hope to crawl through. And while you're clinging to the potential of a future with her, she's living in the present with someone else. She knows exactly what she's doing. She keeps you in a rotation, not because she's confused, but because you haven't left. And that's the mistake. You see, men stay because they fear what walking away means. They think it's giving up. They think it's weakness. But the real weakness is living in limbo. The real damage isn't from her confusion. It's from your refusal to accept it. And this is where you reclaim your power. Not by getting a yes, but by no longer needing one. A man who knows his direction doesn't wait for anyone to draw the map. He moves with or without company. He doesn't pause his mission for permission. He creates a life that is so rooted in purpose, peace, and forward motion that any person unsure about him simply gets left behind, not as revenge, not as punishment, but as natural consequence. And here's the truth. If someone can't say yes to you without hesitation, they are already saying no. You're just refusing to hear it. So what do? You don't negotiate with uncertainty. You don't hope your way into their priority list. You become your own priority. You pull your time back into your craft. You pour your focus into what gives you growth. You cut emotional leash lines with one decision. I don't wait. Not because you're bitter, but because you're awake. You've seen what maybe does to your energy, your discipline, your confidence. You've seen yourself go from clear-headed to clouded, from focused to desperate. And that's not who you are. You are not a placeholder. You are not an emotional crutch. You are not an option. You are a man with clarity. And clarity isn't loud. It's calm. It's the kind of calm that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't explain. It simply moves. The same way a clock ticks whether someone watches it or not. You move. Because life isn't going to wait for you to stop wasting your minutes on maybes. Every maybe you entertain is a yes you delay. Every moment spent decoding silence is a moment robbed from your vision. And the worst part, you know this. You feel it. Deep down, you've always known. That's why you keep checking her messages. That's why you feel that knot in your stomach when she takes too long to reply. Because you know you're not confused. You're avoiding confirmation. And that ends now. You take back your minutes. You reclaim your clarity. You remove yourself from every maybe that clouds your peace. And you replace it with a solid yes to yourself, to your direction, to your vision. You want to build a life that commands certainty. Then stop watering doubt. Stop negotiating your self-worth with people who can't decide if you matter. If they can't choose you, they don't deserve access to you. And once you understand that, deeply, fully, you'll never beg for a yes again. You'll simply walk. And the silence you leave behind will echo louder than any words you ever could have said. Number 3. You're like a brother. This is the most brutal of all. You're there, you listen, you help. And one night she says it, "You're like a brother to me." In that moment, every ounce of attraction is gone. Not because of what she said, but because of what you allowed. You gave your time, your presence, your emotional stability, thinking it would open her heart, but it only opened her comfort zone. You tried to be everything, thinking that if you stayed long enough, helped enough, and showed her you were different, she would wake up and choose you. But she didn't. She used your presence as a pillow while dreaming of someone else. And while she vented to you about the chaos another man caused, you became the safe place she escaped to, but never the place she wanted to stay. You didn't see it coming because you thought loyalty would earn intimacy. But in her world, loyalty without polarity is just background noise. She never respected your devotion because she never desired your position. And now you're stuck in the cruelest trap, being appreciated and ignored at the same time. And the pain cuts deeper because you thought you were building something, you thought you were getting closer. But the truth is, you were being emotionally extracted like an ATM, pressed only when needed, ignored when not. And this is where men lose themselves, trying to argue their way into desire, trying to convince someone to feel what they don't. You defend your position, you beg for clarity, you ask, "Why not me?" But the answer isn't in her, it's in your standard. You gave her the gift of your energy without the cost of your presence. You made yourself emotionally cheap, and now you're paying the price of being indispensable to her feelings, but invisible to her desire. And this isn't just about one girl. This is about every time you silenced your own instinct because you didn't want to be seen as rude or too direct or not understanding. But what's more disrespectful than a man who betrays himself just to be accepted by someone who doesn't even see him? You were never meant to be her brother. You were never meant to be her therapist. You were meant to be a man with direction so undeniable she either joins the journey or watches you walk away. And that's where the shift happens, when you stop trying to upgrade your title in her mind and start upgrading your standards in your life. You stop being emotionally available for people who are physically unavailable. You stop showing up for the same conversations, the same tears, the same promises to figure things out. Because you've finally figured something out. Your energy is sacred, your presence is rare, and your time is not a donation. The man who respects himself doesn't stay in rooms where he has to explain his worth. He doesn't try to prove that he's lovable by being more useful. He doesn't translate affection from a woman who tells him he's like a brother. He hears the message, absorbs the clarity, and exits with silence, not out of anger, but out of order. Because a life of peace cannot be built on emotional scraps. And from this point forward, you draw the line. You stop auditioning for roles you never wanted. You stop showing up for people who never saw you as more than convenience, and you start showing up for yourself. You build your discipline, you build your focus, You surround yourself with people who value presence, not just help. And that starts today, not tomorrow, not when she finally realizes, but now. Because the moment you walk out of the brother role, you walk into your real life. And in that life, you don't need a woman to validate your value. You already know who you are. And no one, no matter how soft their words, how familiar their voice, or how comforting their need, gets to redefine that again. Number 4. Soon. We'll hang out soon. I'll be ready soon. I'll call you soon. Soon is the most manipulative word in the book. It sells you hope without cost. It keeps you in motion without progress. And worst of all, it sounds polite. It sounds soft. It doesn't trigger alarms in your brain the way a clear no would. It sounds respectful, mature, even optimistic. But it's none of those things. It's delay disguised as decency. It's a stalling mechanism wrapped in soft vowels. And most men fall for it because they want to believe that she means it, that her intentions are pure, that her schedule is just complicated, that timing is just off. But reality says otherwise. Reality shows you that people make time for what they care about. Reality shows you that she's not too busy for life, just too busy for you. While you sit by your phone, hoping this soon turns into now, she's investing her time into the things she truly values. You see her online, see her post, see her out, but never see her with you. And still, you wait. You give her the benefit of the doubt. You replay your last message, your last interaction, your last joke that made her smile. You think maybe if you just hold on a bit longer, she'll make space. But soon is not a schedule. Soon is not a decision. Soon is an escape hatch. It's a way to avoid accountability while keeping access. She's not rejecting you, she's just refusing to confirm you, and that's worse. Because now you can't walk away clean. You're trapped in uncertainty. You're hopeful and confused at the same time. And this emotional purgatory is where your self-respect begins to erode. Every time you accept soon, you accept being put second. Every time you stay emotionally available for someone who gives you nothing concrete, you train yourself to be grateful for crumbs. And that is where men get stuck. Waiting, wishing, overthinking, analyzing tone and text, building castles out of fragments. But none of this is real. The relationship you want doesn't exist, not in her heart, not in her mind, not in her plans. It only exists in your imagination, fueled by polite lies and soft delays. And that's where the damage happens, because you aren't just losing time. You're losing clarity. You stop trusting your instincts. You start questioning your worth. You measure your value against her moods. You begin to believe that maybe you're asking for too much when all you really wanted was honesty. But here's the hard truth. People who say soon and don't follow through are telling you everything you need to know. They don't prioritize you. They don't fear losing you. They don't see your presence as something urgent, important, or rare. And that has nothing to do with your value. It has everything to do with your tolerance. If you keep accepting vague promises, you will keep getting vague treatment. If you allow your life to pause for the possibility of someone else's clarity, you'll never have your own. And that's where the transformation begins, not in convincing her to pick up the phone, not in sending one more message to see where she's at, but in making the decision to no longer accept delay as a form of connection. You want to change your life? Start by demanding precision. Start by making a rule. If they won't make it clear, they don't get a position. You don't need to fight. You don't need to argue. You simply walk away from ambiguity like it never existed, because it didn't. Soon was never real. It was a placeholder, a shield, a stall. And when you stop treating it like a promise, you reclaim your time, your energy, and your peace. You build your life around people who move, not people who delay, around people who act, not people who appease. You'll see that your days become quieter but clearer, fewer messages, fewer notifications, but also fewer doubts, fewer disappointments. Because clarity has a price, but confusion costs more, and the man who lives by clarity cannot be manipulated by soft lies. He doesn't need closure. He doesn't need one last talk. He doesn't need confirmation. He sees through the word soon and recognizes it for what it is, distance wearing a smile, and he chooses to walk, not because he's hurt, but because he's awake. If you're tired of waiting, tired of doubting, tired of handing your power to people who only show up when it benefits them, this is your moment. The Stoic relationship blueprint isn't a book. It's a weapon, a guide forged from timeless truths that will rip you out of confusion and force you into clarity. It's now available in audiobook, so you can carry this wisdom with you on a walk, in the gym, or any time you need to be reminded of what real strength sounds like. It's linked in the comments, and once you own it, it's yours forever. If you're ready to stop being played and start leading, comment, "I choose clarity" right now, like this video, and subscribe so more men can find these truths before they waste years on people who never planned to choose them.